They thought my haven was theirs to sell. I was buried in Q3 sales forecasts when my tablet buzzed, the screen flashing Harrington House. My stomach nodded. A video call from my parents always came with strings. I tapped accept, and their faces filled the frame, Mom, beaming like she'd won a sweepstakes, and Dad, sporting a grin too wide for comfort. Clara, honey, we've got thrilling news. Mom's voice was a saccharine trill, the kind that set my nerves on edge. I set my stylus down. What's the news? Dad leaned closer, eyes glinting. You know how Mia's been freaking out about her wedding? It's all handled now. My chest tightened. Handled how? I asked, voice low. Mom clapped her hands. We sold your seaside cottage. An offer came in way over asking, and it's a game changer. We locked in the deposit for Mia's dream chateau venue this afternoon. The air left the room. My cottage. My escape. The one place I'd claimed at 26, bought with my own grit, no cosigners, just me and a realtor who kept misspelling my name in emails. That cottage wasn't just bricks and mortar, it was my quiet, my freedom, my wall against their relentless demands. You sold my cottage? I echoed, barely audible. Dad waved a hand. You haven't been there in forever, Clara. It was collecting dust. I've been working, Dad. In Seattle. Not on a beach retreat. Exactly. Mom sang. Why let it sit empty? Mia's wedding will be stunning, and this is your gift to her. My pulse roared in my ears. A gift. They'd spun it like I'd offered my heart on a platter. That's amazing, I forced out, my voice hollow. They rambled on, Mia's gown, French tulle, a string quartet, while I sat, paralyzed, their glee a knife in my ribs. When the call ended, I stared at the blank screen. The silence screamed betrayal. I grabbed my phone and called Elise. That cottage was my rebellion. I'd bought it after my first tech bonus, a windswept cliffside nook with a rickety balcony and salt-stained windows. I'd filled it slowly, a flea market rug, a driftwood shelf, poetry chapbooks from a local bookstore. It wasn't lavish, but it was mine, free from family guilt or obligations. I didn't tell them for a year. When I did, Mom barely paused her knitting. Quaint, she'd said. That's when the money started draining. It was subtle at first, $250 for a vet bill, $600 for Mia's laptop. Then it snowballed, Dad's truck payment, Mom's medical co-pays, Mia's art school fees. By year 2, it was routine, funneled through a shell company I'd set up in grad school, Havenworks. They never asked its source. I never volunteered it. It was cleaner that way, for them. I stopped going to the cottage, too. Imagining it untouched hurt less than seeing it and feeling their weight. But I'd been cautious. A year after the purchase, I'd moved the deed to Havenworks. A silent maneuver, tucked in legal files, known only to me and Elise, my law school ally. I didn't expect theft. I just knew it was possible. I opened my laptop, accessed the secure drive. The deed, transfer docs, tax forms, all intact, all under Havenworks. Then I rang Elise. Clara, it's been ages, she answered, voice crisp. What's the emergency? I need legal muscle. Major. Spill. I recounted the call, their smug reveal, the sale of a cottage they didn't own. Here's the twist, I said, pulling up the deed. It's under Havenworks. They faked my signature. Elise's silence was sharp. That's not just disloyalty, Clara. That's a federal crime. I know. You've got a slam-dunk case, she said, voice taut. Forgery, corporate theft, fraud. This is a legal landmine. I stared at their frozen smiles from the call. They thought I'd shrug, maybe chip in for the DJ. I'd been their lifeline for years, I murmured. Rent, loans, Mia's tuition. I didn't want praise. I just didn't want them to sink. And they used you as their personal bank, Elise said, gentler. You built a sanctuary. They just stormed it. I didn't reply. I was already opening the legal drafts. We moved like lightning. Elise and I crafted the documents, roped in Havenworks' attorney, and within 24 hours, a formal demand letter was notarized and couriered to their mailbox. No threats, just truth. The sale was void, funds were locked, Havenworks was reclaiming its asset. I didn't call. Instead, I reopened our stale family chat and sent 4 words, "Open your mail today." Then I logged out, brewed tea, and waited. By dawn, the texts flooded in. Mom, Clara, what's this letter? It's nonsense, Dad, let's talk, sweetheart. Mia, this is about your stupid cottage, right? I didn't bite. I forwarded them to Elise, who replied, they're rattled. Good, The wedding coordinator, Tessa, emailed next. Subject, critical payment failures, Harrington wedding. Her tone was panicked, declined cards, vendors bailing, the chateau threatening to ditch the date. I saved each email for Elise. Meanwhile, Mia's TikTok glowed with bridal reels, tiaras, lilies, #DreamDay. Her followers didn't know her fantasy was fracturing. By noon, Elise filed a court motion. A judge issued an emergency freeze on the sale, tagging the funds for investigation. My parents had tried to pawn my property through their arrogance, and now the law was circling. The family chat erupted. Mom, bank's acting weird. Clara, fix it. Dad, realtors hounding us. What's going on? Mia, you're sabotaging me. I muted them and poured another tea. That evening, Tessa's email was a plea, the wedding's collapsing. My career's at stake. Call me, I stayed silent. They'd woven this dream with stolen threads, banking on my compliance. They miscalculated. The story broke a day before the hearing. Family faces fraud charges over wedding heist. Tessa gave a sobbing TV interview, claiming she'd been blindsided. Online, Mia was roasted. In court, I testified coolly, facts, dates, proof. My parents sat, ghostly, their lawyer mute. Mia's meltdown was swift. She's always resented me. She hates my joy. The judge silenced her, and bailiffs led her out. The judge's tone was glacial. Mr. and Mrs. Harrington, you didn't just break laws. You broke bonds. You forged your daughter's name and treated her refuge like your piggy bank. The gavel crashed. Charges were set. I slipped past reporters, lips sealed. The cottage hadn't changed, same weathered balcony, same sea breeze. But it felt like a stranger's. I left the keys on the table and walked out. In Seattle, I erased their contacts, opened a solo bank account, and exhaled. A detective called, saying my case sparked others to report family fraud. One voice can topple a lie, I said. I caught a ferry west, no map, just a spark. The waves rolled by, my phone silent. For the first time, silence wasn't a trap. It was a tide, carrying me free.